If you inherit property or assets from someone who has died, you may have to pay inheritance tax. The rules are complex as there are various inheritance tax allowances such as the nil rate band, the residential nil rate band, so check out the show notes below for links to my videos on those specific topics. If you know that inheritance tax is due, do you know when it has to be paid? The good news is that you can pay your inheritance tax on things that may take time to sell or that you decide to keep, such as a house, in equal annual instalments over 10 years. You must state that you want to pay in instalments on your inheritance tax account form. That's the IHT 400, which is submitted as part of the probate process after someone's death. This form lays out the deceased's assets and any inheritance tax that is due. You'll usually have to pay interest on your instalments. Take a look at the description below this video for a link to a calculator that will help you work out the interest you'll need to pay. Whilst you can pay in instalments for assets you decide to keep, it's important to remember that you must pay any inheritance tax in full when you sell the deceased assets, such as their house or shares. So, when must you pay your first instalments? Well, the first instalment is due at the end of the 6th month after the death. For example, if they died on the 12th of January, you'd have to pay by the 31st of July. This is known as the due date. Payments are then due every year on that anniversary date. You can pay off the full tax and interest at any time. Simply write to HMRC, that's the HM Revenue and Customs, Trust and Estates, asking for a final assessment. You do not have to include payment at that stage. I've included details of how to contact them below in the notes. You will not pay any interest on the first instalment unless you pay late, and on each subsequent annual instalment you must pay interest on both the full outstanding tax balance and the instalment itself from the date it's due to the date of payment if it's paid late. So that's how to pay in instalments, but which assets is this allowed for? Well, firstly, houses. You can pay 10% and the interest each year if you decide to keep the house to live in. If you inherit shares and securities, you can pay an instalment if the shares or securities allowed the deceased to control more than 50% of a company. That's unlikely to be the case if you inherit a portfolio of publicly quoted shares. You can also pay in instalments for unlisted shares or securities, which is ones not traded on a recognised stock exchange, if they're worth more than £20,000 and either of these apply. Firstly, they represent 10% of the total value of the shares in the company at the price they were first sold at. That's known as the nominal value or the face value. They represent 10% of the total value of ordinary shares held in the company at the price that they were first sold at. You can find the face value of a share and whether it's an ordinary share on the share certificate. You can also pay in instalments if either of these apply. At least 20% of the total inheritance tax the estate owes is on assets that qualify for payment by instalments. Paying inheritance tax on them in one lump sum will cause financial difficulties, and if you inherit a business that was run for profit, you can pay instalments on the net value of a business, but not its assets. When it comes to agricultural land and property that you inherit, it will be rare to pay in instalments as most agricultural land and property is exempt from inheritance tax anyway. And finally, inheriting gifts. You can pay in instalments if there is still inheritance tax to pay and you were given buildings, shares or securities and part or all of a business. If the gift was an unlisted share or security, it must still have been unlisted at the time of the death. Thanks very much for checking out my YouTube channel. I'm Justin King. I'm a chartered and certified financial planner. And my aim, and I'm passionate about, is helping people live successful lives. And that often involves understanding your money. I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's been useful. If it has, please press the like button to help more people like you find my channel, and subscribe to let more people, or to let yourself know when I put out a new video. For now, I'm Justin King, helping you live your best life.